Okay, so I'm going to get started here. I am going to work with the Bella Boulevard documented collection that I just got. So here is the Cutfile. So it's a typewriter. Now, some of it ripped and doesn't look that great, but I'm not going to reprint it. I could, but I probably will cover some of that up. And then I'm just going to pull in some of the papers. So this, of course, is a newer collection that they just came out with. So I'm not sure exactly what all I'm going to use on this, but, you know, I've got all the paper here. And then try to work on maybe some of these, you know, these ephemera pieces along with this. I'm not sure if I'm going to cut the cut file. I've just got to decide first and foremost what I'm going to actually use in terms of backing it. And then the pictures that I'm going to be using, I think I'm going to actually do like, it's going to be just my type is going to be kind of my title. And so I'm going to do a couple pictures of my daughter living on my oldest son. She can be very super lovey-dovey. And then there's other times where she's very sassy. So anyway, so that was a time when she was loving on him. So I'm going to decide what I'm going to back this in first, and then kind of go from there. So, so we shall see. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started going through this paper here and decide how I want this cut file backed. So I'm just going through the different papers that were in the collection. So I really seriously considered doing this diagonal rainbow paper just because I just thought it was a little bit different to back, you know, a typewriter that color. But then I kind of got to thinking about like kind of the ephemera I was wanting to use and things like that. And I just felt like it was going to be too many colors to really get the ephemera to pop. And since most of the page was going to be this cut file, I wanted to go with a more solid background, just in that way I could work an ephemera without it being, you know, too noisy. So you see here, like I go back to it, I'm like, I really like the, you know, the stripes in that, but kind of as I got to thinking about it, I was like, I don't know. And I just thought it was really eye-catching on this black paper with the white polka dots. So I thought maybe on this yellow paper, but I go back to this. And I'm still kind of going through the papers here. So I end up finding this paper with the scallop, and I just was like, oh, this would be perfect together. So that's kind of what I've decided to settle on. Here I was just trying to make sure that I could get the cut file to work with the photos. Initially I thought I was going to put the photos kind of back behind, kind of where, you know, the paper comes up from the typewriter. But I do end up moving them. So, but I wanted to make sure that I could, like, you know, I had enough room to get the cut file down along with the pictures and make it work. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, just to make sure that this is all going to work. And so I'm going to go ahead and put some glue. So this is Nuvo Deluxe glue. And I'm going to go ahead and get it set onto this cardstock. And then get the keyboard part put down. And then I go through and glue down these pieces that had, you know, I guess I hadn't put enough like glue or adhesive down to make sure they all sat. Now, I will end up moving the pictures over this part because there were like I wouldn't say like a lot of tears, but there were definitely some imperfections, mostly in this part of the cut. And I really didn't want to go and do another cut because really the rest of it cut pretty well. So, so I was like, I'm just going to try to work around this, cover up some of those parts. So I will actually move the photos down So, and you'll see that here in a moment. So I went ahead and fussy cut the cut file off screen, just so that way you don't have to sit there and watch it. And this is when I'm kind of trying to decide where I want to put the pictures. And I kind of didn't like it here because I felt like it cut off a lot of the top part of the typewriter. And so I do end up moving it down here. That kind of solves the problem with the part of the cut file that was not, you know, that had like imperfections in the cuts. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all adhered down. And I just think that's so eye-catching with the blue background and the scallops around it. So I decided this is kind of where I'm going to move the pictures here, just to cover up that, you know, that area where it wasn't, you know, perfectly cut out. Then I'm going to start getting some of the clusters built out. I had off screen had gone through some of my ephemera and had kind of started to lay it out a little bit, as you could see like in the shots a couple moments ago. I had started to kind of go through the ephemera, and I don't know if my phone might have been needing to be charged or something, so that's why I wasn't recording. So, and a lot of time I will, if I've got like a lot of ephemera or I'm just kind of like unsure of what I'm going to do, sometimes I will do that off screen just to kind of start getting the foundation laid out and then kind of show you like, you know, the gluing down part, because then a lot of time I will add pieces in. So I'm just trying to get like just a general idea of what I was going to do and where I was going to place my clusters. So that's why after I fussy cut it and had placed the photos and all that down, that you could see that I had, you know, kind of cut away and had gone through some of the ephemera. Anyways, an aside, I just realized I got to yapping and didn't explain myself in that part, while all of a sudden I came back and I had ephemera on the layout. So anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and continue to build up these clusters. Now these are all pieces that came in the collection, so I felt like I just wanted a little something up here. I will probably do a little bit of journaling down in the lower left corner. I haven't yet. A lot of time I will do that like later on. I'll go ahead and take my final shots and things like that, and then go in and document. I love this collection. I just think it's so cute. It really gives me a lot of like teen vibe Carson and teen vibe, was it Caitlin, I think, vibes. So it really is pretty, like it's got a lot of versatile ephemera. So like I really felt like you could do quite a bit with it. Like I feel like some of it could have been, you know, documenting, you know, first day of school or whatever, you know, or some kind of sports, or, you know, like it was kind of a, I don't want to say generic, but kind of like, you know, a really like kind of broad range type ephemera and sayings and things like that, you know, you really could use with a lot of pictures that you're documenting. I decided I'm going to add these little camera clusters. Now I had gone around and like, or cameras to each cluster. I had gone around and kind of placed them. I cut the cameras out with the backing still on them because I kind of wanted to place them in the clusters to make sure I liked them in the clusters. So that's why I'm just now getting them adhered down, because they were still on their backing. And I often will do that with anything that's kind of like stickier like this. I feel like a lot of time these epoxy stickers have pretty decent adhesive on them, so. And then my title is gonna be Just My Type. And so I'm just trying to kind of get this mocked up a little bit. The cardstock stickers, these alphas in it, they weren't like super sticky, so really you could kind of like mock them. So I don't have them actually glued down. I did decide to go ahead and add some adhesive just to make sure that they stayed glued down. But they were nice, and that way you could kind of, I would definitely recommend adding glue to them, so then that way, you know, they last. But it was kind of nice because I was pretty confident that they weren't going to like they weren't so sticky that I couldn't like mock them up on my page like this. Because there's some alphas, like you put them down, it's like, it's where it's at, you know, there's no getting them back up without ripping your paper up. So really this layout came together pretty quick for me. I didn't kind of the more tedious part about it was just getting the cut file backed, and you know, fussy cut out was kind of the most difficult part. So you can see I'm adding glue to this. So I'm going to start getting these letters lined up. And I will cut away from this so you don't have to watch this whole process of me gluing all these down. And then I'm going to add in some of these epoxy hearts. And then at this point, I thought I was done, but I do decide that I wanted to go in with some more epoxy stickers. So I'm going to add one more heart to each cluster. And so here is the finished layout. I think it turned out really cute. It's such a cute collection. So here are a few close-up shots. I really appreciate you for coming by to watch another process video.